Thanks very much, Joanne. It's very kind of you. Hi, everyone. I would like to really thank NTUC Income for inviting me here today to speak. I'm always very, very privileged to be able to share my story and my thoughts with all of you. Just a little bit about my journey thus far. Just a bit before that, I started working when I was 16. I started teaching piano. A big part of my life. Music has always been a very big part of my life. Did a pageant 14 years ago, entered the media in 2002, hosted something called Wheel of Fortune. I don't know if they have reruns on TV, but it's a long time ago. It's been a while since people kind of rushed me through this, approached me in the streets and go like, "Hi, can I buy a vowel?" It was amusing for like 1 week. And then I started hosting and acting a lot. And then in 2005, had the privilege of becoming an NMP, nominated Member of Parliament for 2 terms, 4.5 years. And then kind of went back into hosting and acting again. Had a little bit of a blank year in 2010 when I finished being an NMP, and I wasn't sure what else to do in my life. And then in 2011, I started 3 projects, which I'm very involved now, which is Women Talk TV, which is an online women's program that features extraordinary women in Asia, everyday women who are extraordinary, a film called 350, which highlights the issue of trafficking, and also a menstrual hygiene project that teaches women and young girls in rural communities about menstrual hygiene, feminine hygiene. I just was kind of, the thing about being the last speaker is that 2 things. One is I'm really, really honored to be speaking after all these amazing people. But the other thing is I'm also standing in between you and your dinner. So I was just thinking about it and looking back on all the things that I've done or rather had the privilege to do. And, there was one thing in common with all the things that I did, which is I made a choice. But this really interesting thing about choices, and I thought it was easy for me to kind of stand here today and highlight to you the fact that I joined a pageant and therefore I started to work with youth, and then that led me to become an NMP, and then because I was an NMP, I was also in the media and I could talk about the causes that I was passionate about. And then, finally today, I wouldn't be standing here being able to produce a women's program if I didn't have the groundwork and issues, and at the same time, being a host and having kind of media training that I had. And that was something I thought that I could illustrate to you quite easily. But then I thought, okay, but what? It made me really think, and I really struggled a little bit with this presentation because it really made me think about what these choices meant and what it meant to make choices in my life. And and we make choices every day, whether big choices or little decisions that you make. And one thing, and I realized this is a very, very down time of my life, which I will illustrate to you later, that it is actually a privilege to be able to exercise choice. And I think this is something that came to me when I was an NMP, but the fact that we can sit here and have a conversation about this is what I want to do, and for one team of you who's going to get 100K, or for all of you with all these wonderful and incredible ideas that I'm sure you have, the fact that we can actually have these choices and make these choices is really, really such a privilege. And to exercise choice is to actually exercise a privilege that we have, because we are in a country that's not fraught with civil war. I'm not an ethnic minority that's discriminated against. I've had the privilege of an education, and so I feel that what it means to have choice is to actually exercise a privilege. And so I'm going to just kind of put it up there because it's my little thing about my presentation. And the other thing I was thinking about also, so like I said, the first thing I wanted to highlight was what you do today or the series of choices that you make will eventually bring you to the person who you are. And like a lot of the other wonderful speakers have said, you don't realize that whatever you do will actually somehow accumulate and add to that journey to bring you to where you are meant to be. And another thing I was thinking about was about opportunities, because a lot of people, and this is kind of just giving you my perspective on how choices have influenced my life. We always talk about opportunities, or that person has this opportunity and whatever not. But I think what we are surrounded by are options. So options can present themselves to you sometimes in terms of a situation that you're in, maybe sometimes not a very good situation you're in, but there's an option out there. Or, for example, when you go to school and you decide what course you want to take. So this option, you make a choice to turn that option into an opportunity. So we are all surrounded by options, but whether or not, but the first big choice we make is how do we turn that option into an opportunity. But the next thing about having opportunities is that what do you do with them? So it's not just about having opportunities, because opportunities are just opportunities, but it's what you do with that opportunity that matters. Well, the thing is, I thought I would illustrate two big points in my life, being an NMP being one of them, to how I kind of realized the idea of the privilege of choice and how kind of fortunate that we are. When I became an NMP, well, again, like I said, the option was thrown out to me to apply to be an NMP, and it was a complete disaster once I became an NMP. I was 27. I woke up one day on Sunday and I saw this in the newspapers, and it was a huge article. And I had missed my swearing in. I had to perform in a concert in Korea the night before my swearing in, and it was just blown up out of proportion. And here I was sitting at the dining table at 27 thinking to myself, but I really wanted to do this because I had good intention, because I really thought that I can try to be a voice for Singaporeans who need a voice, and all the good things of why I wanted to do this just came to my head. But it didn't matter, because at that point in time, everybody thought I never deserved to be there. So I'm not going to, there's Google and you can always find out what happened, but the point is, it was a really, really difficult time in my life, because when you have your entire life put out there and people start to kind of scrutinize whatever you're doing, and you have to read about it in the papers, and the worst part about it is my parents had to read about it in the papers. That wasn't very nice. They're like, oh, we're so proud of our daughter. Not. No, actually, my parents are great. They were really cool. Actually, so how I realized about choice being privileged was, my mom said to me, and my parents have always said to me, actually I had this conversation with my father this morning. He said, the thing about choice is that you become responsible for your choices, so don't blame anybody if it goes wrong. And that's one thing I remembered. And then I thought to myself, and this is why I kind of realized that really being able to exercise choice is such a huge privilege, because I asked myself that question that morning, well, a couple of mornings later, and I asked myself, if somebody else was in my position, if somebody else was appointed in an NMP, what would they do? Would they choose to focus on the negative and focus on all the negative energy and focus on all the horrible things that were said? Or would they turn it around and say, this is exactly what I'm going to do? And I chose that path because I also have parents that have taken no pity on me whatsoever. And my mom said, you know what, if you want respect, you earn it. And so this is a choice to make. Do not blame anybody for the consequences of your choice, and turn this around. And so I set out to try to be the best NMP that I could ever be. Well, I don't know about that, but I worked really, really hard for 4.5 years, and I really, really tried my best. And every day I asked myself that question: if somebody was in my position, how much better would they do? How much would they take this opportunity to really raise issues, to make sure that Singaporeans get the truth about what's happening, and to be able to give voice? And this is what I tried to do. I don't know about how successful I was, but and the next kind of thing, the next choice that I made in my life, which until today really, really resonates with me, is Women Talk TV. And I always feel very privileged to be able to talk about this, because it's a show that's really, really changed my life. And again, Women Talk TV started because somebody said this to me. I was hosting another show, and she said, my husband didn't want to take me out of the house because I was fat, but when I lost a lot of weight, he started to want to take me out of the house again. So remember I talked to you a little bit about options and opportunity, not in the utilitarian sense of opportunity, but how you can create impact, not just for yourself, but maybe the people around you. And I saw this as an option to turn it into something. I didn't know what it was at that point. I remember I was with my manager and I was with my makeup artist, and I was hosting this show, and when she said it to me, I was really, really devastated. So I turned to the camera, and in the most diplomatic way possible, I was like, you know, Mr. So-and-so, you shouldn't think about this, about your wife this way. And I started berating him in the most polite way as I possibly could. So all the directors and the director and the crew was like, never mind, we just let Eunice say, and then we just cut this part out. But never mind, let her continue. So, yeah, it's very hard to shut me up. So I did it, and I was very affected by what she said to me. And I went for dinner that night, and I asked my team. I said, how many other women out there are feeling this way? How many women out there, are in situations that they can't talk about? How many of them, feel this way? And so, turning that option and opportunity, we said, okay, let's start a women's program. I don't know how, where, why, but we wanted to do a women's program. We wanted to give a platform to women to be able to have open and honest conversations. And so with that, we decided then, again, making that choice, what kind of women program do we want to be? Whether we feature CEOs and celebrities or just everyday women. And we thought we wanted to give voice to everyday women. We wanted to give voice to the amazing women in this world, or in Asia at least, who made choices in their life. And they're everyday women who are extraordinary and made these amazing choices. And we wanted to try to be the voice for them. And so we started Women Talk TV. And some of these women may be familiar to you, and it's amazing how they've turned some of the options or the situations that we're in, and how they've really turned this around. So Pin Siu won our first Paralympic gold medal for Singapore, which is, for me, an Olympic medal. So if Singapore says we don't have an Olympic medal, that's a big fat lie. And Rachel Chung is a survivor of domestic abuse, and now she helps women who are in similar situation. Lena Sim, if all of you have been to Ministry of Food, you will know who she is. She's the founder of Ministry of Food. She was abandoned at birth because her 八字, which is the Chinese characters, were too strong, was like stronger than her brother, and so the parents abandoned her. She grew up with her grandmother, rummaging through trash, and now she's one of the most successful restaurateurs. Serena Tan is a physical fitness instructor, but she battled with anorexia for a while, but she's a really, really amazing PT. And Haslina Yaakob, she's Malaysian, but she's a rape survivor, but now she helps women who are suffering from, who have been raped as well. And she has a shelter that houses them in Malaysia. So it's really been quite a privilege for me to be able to kind of tell these amazing stories about these women, and seeing how they've turned their lives around or made certain choices in their life that have impacted on who they are today. I will definitely not do the show justice and these women justice just by standing here and telling you this. So I'm going to let you watch a very quick 2-minute clip of what Women Talk is about.
Let's talk Women Talk.
I can never imagine my life without muscular dystrophy now. It's like it occupies such a big role in my life. Without muscular dystrophy, I would not have taken up competitive swimming.
The one who gives me strength is love. When I see the animal get abused, I have a mother instinct. I want to protect them, I want to work for them and make them out from harm.
When I feel like giving up, I think of our cheesemaker, Maricel. She's the reason why I stay on and do this in spite of all the hiccups. She used to toil under the scorching sun every morning to sell her eggplants. But now she gets to work just a few meters from home, and she still gets to look after her kids and make so much more.
I had to do the dishes, wash the toilet, and all that sort of stuff. So it did train me and put me in the right mindset. That doesn't mean I have one disability. I can use that as an excuse, and I still have to find different ways around achieving what I want to achieve without sight.
You love him even after he hit you?
I think it's worse when there is love, because you will then feel that the betrayal is even sharper, is even more painful.
We are questioning ourselves if we are working effectively, because the situation is not changed, But I think we make change to the people we work with, whose life, have been destroyed, but they have new life and they started, again. And I think the hope lies in the hands of the people of Burma.
What is empowerment to you?
Empowerment is when a woman is able to stand up, speak up without being censured. She's an empowered woman.
And so we got nominated for an International Emmy Award this year. And again, if I had not made all those choices, if I had not learned from all the things that I've done, I would not be able to stand here and talk to you about this. And I think the last thing, before I end off I'm going to exceed the time. I apologize. I'm terrible that way. About choice being privilege is the reason why I keep talking about that, because I realize that I've been so humbled by the people that I've met, by the work that I do, by the women the stories that we feature, by the evicted communities that I work with in Cambodia. And every day you realize that the fact that we can make these choices, the fact you can wake up one morning and go, I want to be a graphic designer, or I want to be a conservationist, or I want to be able to do a women's program. And it's so amazing and so humbling for me to be able to say that and to be able to see that happen. And I think if you are humbled in the choices that you make, and especially, and I think this really from my perspective, and understand the privileges that you're accorded, I feel that whatever choices that you make in life, whatever choices you make in your business, knowing that in your mind, you will definitely give you more clarity. And really, don't be afraid in the failure that you're going to experience, because everything that you do will definitely lead you to the person you are really, really meant to be. And so I thought, keep calm, because you are going to need that, and really cherish the privileges that you have. And I really wish you all the best in your choices. And I'm very sure that your choices will not only impact your life, but also the people around you. Thank you.